Yo, what the is up, dude? How are you doing? Happy Saturday. If you're watching this on a Saturday, I'm making this on a Saturday, so hopefully the Saturday energy, even if it's a Tuesday, even if it's a Thursday, all right? Hopefully it feels like a Saturday because of the vibes I'm emitting. And that's what I want to talk about. All right. Nikola Tesla said, if you want to understand the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. All right. So there's that. All right. If you want to understand the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. Now, this guy, Frederick Dodson, made a book called Levels of Energy. And you can look at this chart. I would love to have the editing skills to put this in here. I probably won't. In the future, just Google it, levels of energy. There's a chart that it looks like a cone, and it's got a rainbow. And basically, according to the color spectrum and the frequency, as you increase the frequency, each frequency corresponds with an emotion. And then Frederick Dodson argues in his book that each frequency or everything in life corresponds with a frequency. And he has it numbered from like 0 to 700 or something. And the threshold for something being like positive or negative it could be 200, I want to say. Anything below 200 is like, no, get that out of your life. Low 200s, even mid 200s is like, all right, this is all right. It's just kind of neutral. But like plus 300 is, you're getting into the good stuff. And he outlines a few things, what corresponds to energy. So like people and the lives that they've lived correspond to certain energies. I think it goes up to 700, and Jesus Christ was like a 700. And like, maybe Einstein was like a 590 or something like that, right? So it's like, and then everything from food and beverages to locations to activities, be it concerts or sports or whatever, they all have a corresponding frequency. And the whole name of the game is energy. Like if you can remain high energy, then you'll be optimistic, you'll be charismatic, you'll have conviction, right? You'll be confident, and you'll feel good. You'll be energized if you have more energy. And of course, with the laws of physics, energy can't be created or destroyed, just transferred. And so we are a vehicle or a node for energy. And how do we get energy? Well, in the traditional ways, you sleep, you get more energy. You eat food, you get more energy. Maybe you listen to some music, right? So certain songs have frequencies that they correspond to, and you ever get that sense where you put on a song and now you've got all this energy to go do laundry or dishes or whatever it is that you've been procrastinating. A lot of people use music to focus and study and all that stuff. And so I believe if you start thinking in terms of energy, when you meet people, like what's the energy that you're getting off of this person? Do you feel energized? Do you feel charged up? Do you feel excited? Or do you feel low and sad and depressed and bored and, it's a feeling. It's not a concrete. That's why, he's got some critic, Frederick Dodson, about his whole scale, is because it's not necessarily a science. We don't have a frequency meter we can point at someone or a sports game and be like, oh yeah, this reads a 350 or whatever. So it's more of an art than a science, but tapping into what gives you energy and then what takes away energy, and putting yourself in environments, surrounding yourself with people, and doing activities that energize you is extremely important. If you find that you get into a job that the term we use is soul sucking, like it just sucks. It sucks the soul out of you. It sucks the energy and the life force out of you, you know you're headed down the wrong path, right? Because even difficult things, like the gym, for example, you're lifting heavy weights. You could say that's soul sucking, that's taking your life energy. No, you're directing your life energy towards a specific outcome. You're exerting effort to get something in return, and that's an exchange, and that's different from just something taking energy from you. And so this is more so a message to myself than anybody else, but I think you should find it helpful. Is like, if you're in, let's say, a living arrangement, and I know finances can be tight and whatever, and trust me, I know, but if you're in an environment and you're surrounded by people that drain your energy, you have to notice that. And this doesn't mean that you're depressed or you're anxious or you're XYZ diagnosis. You may just be in a shitty situation, and you got to get yourself out of that. And you'll find, if you have an opportunity to leave that, you stay at a friend's house, or you go on a vacation, or you go on a work trip or something, pay attention to your energy. Does it increase? Oh, why? Because I changed my environment, and I changed the people who I'm hanging around with and spending time with. And so the name of the game is to the best of your abilities, put yourself in a career and a location and or a house, and surround yourself with people that give you energy, that inspire you, that energize you and excite you. That's the whole, if I could give any tip to any person really, that's it. Like, just don't chase energy, but align yourself with what energizes you. And if you do this, if you're conscious of this, this will just happen naturally as a byproduct. You'll realize, like, when I eat Big Macs from McDonald's, I don't feel good afterwards. Yeah, there's a chemical process that you can scientifically explain with that. It's not agreeing with your gut microbiome, and you've got inflammation and indigestion and heartburn and all this stuff. But what that is expressing to you is, on an energetic level, it's not where you're at. It doesn't line up. And what's interesting is, as you grow in life, you'll be at different energetic states and different energetic levels. So some things may align for you at certain times. That's why I think cannabis is so tricky, because it can elevate your energy. It can bring your frequency higher. But if you get your frequency so high, cannabis may bring you down. And that's when you start to see these negative effects and these addiction patterns and stuff like this. And so anytime you do something, Wes Watson calls this conscience congruency. So you've got the conscience, that's the inner voice, or that's the voice of God, who is communicating to you all the time on if you are in or out of alignment with your purpose or what you're supposed to do on this earth. And that will tell you if you're hanging around people who aren't good for you, if you're with someone in an intimate relationship that it's just not working out, it's not lining up, it's awkward, it's choppy, it's weird, or it's uncomfortable, or, you don't feel good, you don't feel energized. And you don't have to find specific explanations for these things. You can just decide. You can just, decide, internalize, oh, this doesn't feel good. I can't pinpoint exactly what it is. I just don't want it. I just don't like it. And you can decide to put it down, put it away, move forward, and move on to the next thing, and the next thing, and the next thing, until you find something, oh yeah, this is good. This aligns with me. I wake up feeling refreshed, or I leave my interactions with this person inspired and excited. And that's what it's all about. It's getting less of the things that are not aligned and getting more of the things that are aligned. And there is a universal equilibrium that exists in the universe and within consciousness and within the individual. And if you're really present, you can tune into this right down to the second where, oh yeah, like I'm hungry, so then you get food, or oh yeah, I'm cold, so you turn up the heat, or you put on a sweater or a blanket or whatever. But on an energetic level, you can realize, oh yeah, this environment, it doesn't feel good. And you don't have to have an explanation for, oh, it's the height of the ceilings, I feel so cramped, or it's the color of the paint down the walls that makes the space feel crowded. You can just start by realizing, no, this ain't it. This ain't it. Right here, this ain't it. I gotta move. I gotta do something different. I gotta talk to somebody else, or I gotta break up and I gotta go through that process that's painful and deal with the consequences. But I think it comes from ultimately having faith that there is a creator and you are a child of God, and there's someone who's looking out for you, who wants the best for you. And they're going to put you in uncomfortable situations that don't align with your natural frequency or desires to see, all right, is he going to notice? Is he going to pick up on this? Or is he going to be ignorant and he's going to get frustrated and caught up in his emotions, and he's just not going to realize, what's going on, and he's going to let it affect every other aspect of his life? No. Right? And that's why journaling is such a fantastic behavior for personal development. If you are trying to improve your life, you first have to do an audit of your life. And things can exist in your mind, but they aren't concrete yet. You can have thoughts that aren't necessarily true, but until you externalize them, either verbalize them or write them down, you can't really evaluate it in your head if it's good or bad, or if it's aligned or not. That's why we have sometimes these impulses, and then we do them, and then we realize it wasn't good for us. Because you kind of have to bring it into the world in order to see and the cause and effect. If it's just in your mind, it's difficult to really look at it objectively. But once you get it out, then you can observe it. Then it's in real life. Either you said it and you heard it, or you wrote it down and you can read it. And then you go, oh yeah, no, that's not who I am or who I want to be or what I'm trying to achieve or blah, blah, blah. So, and you can also work with these principles of energy to improve your life on a daily basis. Some things, like I mentioned, are outside of our control. Let's say your living arrangement, for example. Sometimes it's very difficult to just uproot your life and move. So if you're stuck somewhere, there are things that are within your control that you can manipulate to increase your energy. You ever notice once you get a haircut from a barber that you're familiar with or you've been to before, you feel so good. You feel fresh and clean. And yeah, you could say, well, it changed the morphology or the shape of my head and how the light strikes my forehead, and I see different aspects of my face I didn't see before, and I like those, and so it makes me feel good. Yeah. Or it just feels good to get a haircut. It just feels good to get freshened up, trimmed up, cleaned up, right? Doing things for yourself that make you feel good, that aren't extremely costly. Like, not that it's free to brush your teeth, but it's pretty dang close to brush your teeth for free, right? And when you wake up, you're all gross and groggy, and you got these crusties in your eyes, and you got awful breath. As soon as you brush your teeth, man, you start to feel good. You start to feel all right. Like, yeah, I can do this. I can handle this. I can go talk to anybody, and I know that they're not going to get turned off because my breath smells or whatever. So showering and haircuts, and that's just general hygiene, but getting a little bit of style together, you know, going to Walmart or Value Village or wherever, thrifting clothes that you like, you enjoy. It's not just things that were given to you for birthdays and Christmases and stuff. These are things that you picked out, that you enjoy, that you feel like match the rest of your wardrobe. And when you put it on, yeah, you got some aura, you got some energy, So work with that and understand who you're trying to be. What are you trying to project into the world? What's your image? And once you decide that, then it's just acting in line with that. Like, oh, this is who I am. This is what I do. And when X situation comes up, I do Y. And, for the most part, I would say 90% of our behaviors, maybe even more, are purely habitual in that we do them because we've done them before and we survived. So the brain goes, all right, well, we didn't die when we picked that outfit or that partner or that environment or whatever, so let's do it again. And you keep choosing it and you keep not dying, so your nervous system goes, all right, well, this is safe. Even if it's not aligned, even if it brings your energy down, the ego doesn't care about energy. The ego only cares about survival. So tapping into that layer below the ego and going, that's being woke. That's actually having consciousness and being conscious of your thoughts and of your energy. And unfortunately, there's some situations in life you really can't avoid it. Sometimes you got to do the thing that takes away your energy because of social obligations or societal obligations or cultural or whatever. But there have been people who have faced greater consequences for going against these things than you, and they've had the confidence or the courage to go against those things because they knew that there was a better life for them. It's really like it's never too late to try something new, to change your career, to find a new partner, to find new friends or a new sport or hobby, or you can constantly reinvent yourself as long as you're breathing, as long as you're alive. Like, it's never too late. So I guess that is what I'm trying to focus on. I'm trying to, and not so much forcing it. I guess I wouldn't say I'm trying it, but I'm doing it. I used to have beliefs of frugality and, pinching pennies and saving for a rainy day because I never know when I'm going to use this. And then what had happened I'd live very frugally, very much so within my means, very tight constraints for a very long time. And then an opportunity would come up and I'd just blow it. I'd just go, yep, I'm going for that trip. And then I'm buying all the tickets and the transportation and the food. And then we're doing this and this and this. And then I come back and I'm back in that scarcity mindset. I'm back to pinching pennies and my life sucks. All right. Well, I've now come to a place where, okay, if I want a coffee in the morning, it's not gonna break me, if I go for a few bucks every day for a coffee, not even every day. Or if I have a really good workout and I want to treat myself to a donut. Well, that's not gonna break me. And that may just be what energizes me enough to get to the next workout. And so long as I can keep doing that, that's a very small price to pay to continue moving forward in the direction that I want. And you can look at that for any example, for anything, I'm trying to become a firefighter, and I'm in a volunteer department, and it can get kind of doom and gloom every now and again. But once I get a call, I go on the call and I help somebody, and that boosts my energy again, and that reinvigorates me, and it goes, yep, this is for me. I can do this. And so that I get some more motivation to keep going. And to get to my goals and what I'm trying to accomplish. So it's really just, do a bit of an audit. Think in terms of energy. What things make me good? You could even make 2 lists. What things make me feel good and what things don't make me feel good. And once you get down to it, you can realize even the things that feel good in the moment, scrolling, or if you're into pornography or vaping or smoking weed or whatever, junk food, if you dig deep enough, you can really go, oh no, actually, shortly after I experienced that dope, or that dopamine spike, I start to experience like a bit of regret and like some shame and some guilt for why I did that. And why does that exist there? Why is that? Is it because I know in the back of my mind that this isn't good for me and this isn't propelling me forward to where I want to go and who I want to become? Yeah, that's probably what it is. Yeah. So let me subtract that behavior and let me replace it with something that does get me aligned with those things. Whether it's you brush your teeth every time you have a craving, or you chew gum, or you do 10 push-ups, or whatever, it's a little bit of like coaching yourself. But if you're conscious of that dialogue that's happening between you and God, and that's what that is, then you've got a coach. It's God, right? And he won't ever steer you astray. If anything, he'll lead you to where you've got to go. That, yeah, may be a setback or it sucks in the short term, but in the long term, you gain these skills and these character traits that you were lacking before that led you to that place in the first place. And so, mysterious ways, that's what that's all about. And I guess just a friendly reminder, you don't have to explain anything about your life and your decisions to anybody, unless you have people following you who are dependent on you, like actual dependents who need to understand why you make certain decisions. You don't owe anybody anything. You can just make decisions just because you wanted to make them. And that's it. All right. I hope that helps. Thanks so much for watching. Really appreciate you. If you like that, like it. If you want to see some more, subscribe. And if you have any book recommendations, or you have any quotes that you've heard recently, or you just want to share your experiences, please comment below. Appreciate you. And hopefully see you in the next one. So much love. Peace.